Spud Webb's story is one of the most unlikely success stories the NBA has ever seen, and even legends like Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan couldn't help but admire it. Before we dive in, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this don't get told enough. A 5'7" guard wasn't supposed to survive in a league built for giants. But Spud didn't just survive, he shocked the basketball world. His journey forced everyone to rethink what was possible, and that alone made him special. Isiah Thomas often said Spud Webb played like someone who had nothing to lose and everything to prove. Night after night, defenders looked down at him and underestimated him. But once the game started, that confidence turned into panic. Spud's speed, bounce, and fearlessness flipped matchups instantly. Isiah respected that mentality because he knew how hard it was to lead from a position of doubt. Spud never asked for respect, he took it. Michael Jordan remembered the first time he truly noticed Spud Webb. It wasn't just the dunks, it was the energy. Spud played every possession like it was his last chance. In the league, Jordan admired that hunger because it reminded him of himself in a different way. Where Jordan dominated with power and control, Spud attacked with urgency. Every second on the floor mattered to him. Coming into the NBA, Spud Webb was told no at every stage. Too small for college, too small for the league, too small to matter. Those words stayed with him and became fuel. Isiah Thomas understood that kind of chip on the shoulder. Spud didn't complain, he trained harder, jumped higher, and ran faster. His entire career was built on defying expectations. The 1986 slam dunk contest changed everything. Standing next to Dominique Wilkins, Spud looked like a mascot rather than a competitor. But when he took off, the building froze. Each dunk wasn't just athletic, it was symbolic. Michael Jordan later said the night forced everyone to respect Spud as more than a novelty. He became a statement. Isiah Thomas loved how Spud never played scared. Bigger guards tried to bully him, but Spud attacked them right back. He went into the paint knowing he'd get hit. That fearlessness earned him respect in locker rooms across the league. Players realized size didn't define toughness. Spud did, but behind the highlights was constant pressure. Spud knew one bad season could end everything. He didn't have the luxury of slumping. Michael Jordan recognized that mental weight and respected it deeply. Playing with that level of urgency takes discipline. Spud carried it every night. Despite his success, Spud was rarely treated like a star. He bounced between teams, always having to prove himself again. Isiah Thomas said that grind breaks most players. Spud kept going anyway. He understood his role and maximized it. That professionalism defined his career. Spud also became an inspiration beyond basketball. Kids who were told they were too small finally had proof otherwise. Jordan acknowledged that Spud changed how young players saw themselves. His impact wasn't just on scoreboards. It was psychological. He expanded the dream. Even at his peak, Spud never lost humility. He played hard, spoke softly, and respected the game. Isiah Thomas admired that balance. Greatness didn't make Spud arrogant. It made him grateful. That humility kept him grounded. As his career slowed, Spud faced the reality every player dreads. The league moves on quickly, especially for undersized guards. But Spud left with his dignity intact. Michael Jordan said that matters more than stats. How you leave the game defines you. After basketball, Spud continued influencing the sport. Through coaching and mentoring, he wanted others to succeed where he once struggled. Isiah saw that as the final chapter of leadership. Giving back meant everything to Spud. His legacy kept growing. Spud Webb proved the NBA isn't only about height or hype. It's about heart, discipline, and belief. Michael Jordan respected anyone who forced the league to adjust. Spud did exactly that. He bent the rules of expectation, and the game was better for it. When people talk about dominance, they often forget players like Spud, but Isiah Thomas reminded everyone that dominance comes in many forms. Sometimes it's power, sometimes it's resilience. Spud mastered the latter. Spud Webb's story stands as a reminder that limitations are often illusions. Through the voices of legends like Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, his impact becomes undeniable. He didn't just play in the NBA, he challenged it, and in doing so, he earned a place in basketball history that can't be measured in inches. Isiah Thomas often pointed out that Spud Webb played with the awareness that mistakes were not forgiven easily. Bigger players could mess up and still keep their jobs. Spud didn't have that luxury. Every turnover, every missed rotation felt magnified. That pressure sharpened his focus. It forced him to be smarter, quicker, and more disciplined than almost everyone else on the floor. Michael Jordan respected how Spud never tried to play outside himself. He didn't force hero shots just to prove a point. Instead, he mastered what he could control: speed, timing, and decision-making. Jordan believed that self-awareness is what separates long careers from short ones. Spud understood his limits and still found ways to push them. That balance kept him in the league. There were nights when Spud looked physically overwhelmed, surrounded by taller, stronger athletes, but Isiah noticed something different in those moments. Spud never shrank mentally. Even when shots weren't falling, he stayed aggressive. He kept attacking, kept defending, kept pushing the pace. That mental resistance made him dangerous even on bad nights. Jordan recalled games where defenders laughed before tip-off, only to stop smiling by halftime. Spud's quick first step broke defensive schemes. His leaping ability embarrassed big men who assumed they were safe near the rim. Jordan admired how Spud used surprise as a weapon. The shock factor alone changed the rhythm of games. Spud's presence also altered how teams scouted guards. Isiah Thomas said coaches were forced to rethink matchups. Speed suddenly mattered more than height in certain lineups. Spud opened doors for a different type of guard. He didn't just benefit from change, he caused it. That influence lasted longer than his playing years. Off the court, Spud carried himself with quiet confidence. He wasn't loud, flashy, or confrontational. Jordan said that confidence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just shows up and performs. Spud let his game do the talking. That earned him respect even from opponents who tried to intimidate him. There were moments when Spud questioned how long he could keep fighting the odds. The physical toll was real. Isiah Thomas acknowledged that smaller players absorbed more punishment. Spud took hits every drive, every screen, yet he rarely complained. He understood pain was part of the price. Jordan believed that Spud's real strength was emotional control. When calls didn't go his way, he didn't unravel. When opponents mocked him, he didn't retaliate recklessly. He stayed locked in. Jordan valued that maturity because emotional discipline wins close games. Spud mastered it. As younger players entered the league, Spud became a silent example. Isiah noted that rookies watched how he prepared, how he trained, how he respected teammates. Leadership doesn't always come from speeches. Sometimes it comes from consistency. Spud led that way. Spud also dealt with being labeled a gimmick long after proving himself. That frustration never left him. Michael Jordan understood that labels can be more dangerous than defenders. Spud refused to let that narrative define him. He kept showing up game after game, year after year. When injuries and age began slowing him down, Spud didn't disappear overnight. He adjusted his role. He relied more on experience than explosiveness. Isiah respected that evolution. Knowing when to adapt is a sign of basketball intelligence. Spud learned that lesson early. Jordan said that not everyone is meant to dominate the league, but some are meant to change it. Spud Webb changed how players viewed possibility. He forced the league to acknowledge skill over stereotype. That kind of impact doesn't show up on stat sheets. It shows up in opportunity. Even after retirement, Spud's name remained relevant. Every time an undersized guard entered the NBA, comparisons followed. Isiah Thomas saw that as proof of legacy. When your name becomes a reference point, you've left a mark. Spud earned that. Jordan believed that Spud's greatest victory wasn't the dunk contest or any single season. It was longevity. Staying in the league when everyone expects you to fail is its own championship. Spud won that battle quietly, and he won it repeatedly. Spud Webb's story continues to resonate because it's real. It's not about perfection or dominance, it's about survival, belief, and relentless effort. Through the words of Isiah Thomas and Michael Jordan, his career becomes more than a highlight reel. It becomes proof that greatness wears many forms, and Spud Webb embodied one of the rarest.